Hey guys, I just wanted to do a quick little video on a new coin that I had originally found back when it was a lot higher in market cap. So I didn't buy it, but now it has certainly kind of simmered down. It is the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, SBR, the coin. It has a total supply, basically mimicking Bitcoin with a kind of funny little extra 420.69 coins there. I guess that would be 42,069 extra coins to the original supply of BTC. This is like the meme coin branch off variant of the Donald Trump plan for the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, which has partially been implemented. Now we've got state governments implementing their own versions of the reserve, with Texas, who have a huge BTC mining operation, the biggest in any state in the United States. They're implementing it as well. And so you wonder, because there's two different variations of the strategic reserve. There's the Bitcoin Act, which says the United States should acquire 5% of the total supply, which is around 1 million coins based off of the amount of BTC that's already been burned, which is around, what is it, 1.5 million. So you want to acquire 1 million out of basically 20 million total in supply, although I think Bitcoin's total supply is around 19.5 million. But the US government would likely have to sell gold or sell federal land or sell something else to acquire the total 1 million Bitcoin, because right now they have 200K Bitcoin. That's through confiscation, and that's how the original reserve was set up. And this coin came out back right after Trump had won the election. So you can see it was listed on CoinGecko on the 6th of November. And it was on the theory that Trump was going to set up this reserve. And the coin went to, if you take a look at the market cap, went to around 82 million dollars. It's at 1.3 million at this point. And so, I had seen this coin, I was following it. The first time I saw it, it was probably around 70, 80 million. And it really kept a decent floor of around 12, 13 million during that initial period before Trump was inaugurated. And then right before Trump's inaugurated, it spikes up. And since then, it has done absolutely nothing. But I say that this, I want to do a video and highlight this just because I think this coin, I love the logo of this coin, honestly. And, I was previously invested into SPX. I ended up selling too early. And the reason I loved SPX was in part because of the logo, but also when you look at this coin, you can see that it does have the gold check mark. They are still posting. You can see it's got around 11.5K followers. It's just a beautiful logo. It really is. And you can see this is the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve by country, assuming the nation states follow the US and accumulate similar percent of Bitcoin as they have gold. And so the United States would acquire around 1 million Bitcoin. Germany would acquire almost 500,000. It seems like it's a very ambitious goal and it's probably not going to happen, but technically the reserve has already been set up. So I can see this coin, which has already been built up. They've got a Telegram that is semi-active, and it's just such a great logo. It really is. I could see this coin. I like the look of this coin, honestly, and I didn't really have a chance to invest into it because the first time I saw it, it was at like 70 or 80 million. Now, there are some problems with this coin, to be fair. I mean, the coin reaches 80 million. You would like it to establish a floor of at least 4 or 5 million. It feels like at this point, its floor is, it's been selling off still. That's the problem. Because even back, well, I guess in mid-April, it was around 1.2. You could say its floor is around 1.2 million. If you consider like a 2-month floor holding, which is what it's done recently. And could this coin potentially pop off during the next 4 or 5 months? We know Bitcoin itself has reached around 110K. I think it's pretty much guaranteed to have at least some form of a bull run. We've got great metrics in terms of the economy when it comes to the projected interest rates cuts likely happening in September, if not at least before the end of the year. The 4-year cycle says BTC should at least have a peak around the fall, and then that would be great for the altcoins because the altcoins would likely run after that. And you're talking about, there seems to be this narrative within these variants of Bitcoin. You've got the butt coin, you've got all these other ones on Solana. This one's on Ethereum, and it does have the price history. People say, well, for a meme coin to be successful, it has to go through a serious downturn, possibly multiple downturns. Well, this coin has gone through two big ones. And so, I mean, it's an interesting one to look at. I mean, I did make an initial purchase of this coin a little bit just to get in, and just because I like the logo. And that's why, honestly, you want to look at a few different things. You look at the coin, how long it's been out, the tokenomics, you make sure. That's why investing into newer coins is the problem. And this is a very good example of why you really, in terms of any new meme coin, you should really not buy it. It's just not worth it. Like, imagine the people who bought the coin when it was around 80 million in market cap, or even 58 million. You have no money. You basically have no money at this point. So I just thought this was an interesting coin to look at, and I just like the look of it. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. Imagine maybe it actually happens, and people are like, well, I want the coin to go with it. You could get that. I mean, anything with Bitcoin in the title, with how these governments are adopting it and they're using it as digital gold, and we think Bitcoin's going to be a lot more stable in the future because of the amount of BTC that's going to be tied up in the ETFs. It's going to be held in storage for decades upon decades. Now we've got the US. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. It would be really awesome if they did decide to buy 5%. So they'd be buying at the top. But even if, think about it, if they decided to commit to that, BTC would likely go to 400 or 500K a coin. And then you've got the reserve. Think about that at 1.3 million. That would at least go, I think, to $1 billion. Because we're talking about BTC going to $7 or $8 trillion in market cap. The reserve coin, which is a meme coin, there's not like this is backed by anything, but still, we know the memes, they can go to billions. This could go to, I mean, this coin already reached 80 million. Yeah, sure, $1 billion's a long way, but I'm just saying this is something that is technically, I'm not saying it's possible, but you never know, because if the reserve happens and if Bitcoin, it could have a crazy blow off top if they decided to sell some gold for BTC. And now we've got the state governments implementing this, the legislatures, they're promoting it, and we've got 3 happening. I think Arizona, New Hampshire, and now Texas. They've all signed these Bitcoin acts. They are all creating their own strategic Bitcoin reserves to hold Bitcoin at the state level. And we know the government, they've confiscated the 200K. And so they're holding that right now. And that's a strategic thing to where they don't willy-nilly sell it, because they would confiscate Bitcoin in the past, but they would hold it. They wouldn't hold it. They would sell it willy-nilly. They would throw it on centralized exchange but now they're saying we're not doing that. We're going to strategically hold it. But think about the cascade effect if Trump decided to make a major buy and sell some gold, or you didn't even have to sell gold. You could keep gold as a legitimate asset because everyone loves gold, and you could sell federal land. You could sell, they said, we're not going to print more money, but David Sachs says, we're looking into buying more BTC. Now, is that to say we're going to make a huge $85 billion investment to buy the extra 800K to get to $1 million in terms of total supply? Probably not, because where are we getting 85 billion? We would have to, you could sell some federal land, but you don't want to sell a lot of it. Maybe you could sell about 30 or 40 billion in federal land, and then maybe sell a little bit of gold, like 4 or 5%. That could get you, a few hundred billion maybe. Or no, it's not going to get you a few hundred billion, because the total gold reserves we have is 700 billion. And if you sell a few percent, you're talking about, that's a lot less than that. Maybe a few hundred million. But I mean, if we want to get to the correct percentage, if we want to get to 5% of the supply, we need to buy around $85 billion worth of BTC. But imagine if we did that, we would all be rich. Because think about it. If we buy, if you get even like 0.5% of the total supply of this reserve coin, think about it. They buy 5%, BTC immediately goes to like 500 or 600K. People are saying it'll go to $1 million a coin if the government did that. And then the strategic reserve meme coin that's already here, that already has a community, that already has a golden check mark, that already has 11K followers, that already has a price history. See, there's one on Solana as well that's only around 300K in terms of market cap. Yeah, I wonder if that's here. Let me look this up. So see, I just find these coins sometimes. Yeah, this is the Solana gimmick one. The variant from Pump Fund. The Solana variant. Yeah, the Solana variant's actually held stable at around 300K in market cap. So the very similar price action here. But the Solana variant, it's one of those, it's got the billion supply because it's from Pump Fund. Maybe it makes sense to throw a little investment into that. What is its all-time high? Around 9 million market cap. Yeah, the Ethereum is where it's at. I mean, Ethereum is coming back. Everyone loves Base. Base is connected to Ethereum. And so this is a very nice looking coin. And you take a look at this. Yeah, I mean, 8180. Look at this strategic reserve. And it's got a really nice I mean, this is not, there's nothing wrong with this website. This is a very nice looking coin, I'm just saying, and you can even see the update. They said it's going to hit $47 because Trump's the 47th president. I don't know about that. That would be great. That would be great. Look at this. They got the coverage. I mean, this is a well put together website. This is not financial advice, but like, look at this logo. See, the thing is, when I saw the SPX logo, I was like, that coin's going to do very well. And then I sold it right before. I had 250K coins. I would have, well, I mean, 250K coins technically is only 250K dollars right now because SPX is only at $1. But they're saying SPX is going to go to $20 or $30. Imagine that. And I had 250K coins. I would have like $7 or $8 million at that point. So see, I can see these, and I said MOG was going to do very well when it was at 5 million, and I sold it early. But that's why I'm not doing it. That's why I have NASDAQ 420. Some of these other coins, I'm holding them. But with this coin, I mean, this is just, Trump should tweet out this logo and then imagine that. That would be huge. But I mean, they need to really look into doing something with this reserve. I mean, we have so much debt. We're not going to kill the debt with gold. But I agree, gold's a good asset. We need to keep it. But what if we just sold 4% of our gold for Bitcoin and at least got a few, like get 3 to 4% of Bitcoin? They want to get to 5%. They're talking about it. It's not likely to happen, but who knows? This coin has hit, I don't know if it's hit the bottom, but it's got to be close to the bottom. And then the variance on Solana at 300K, maybe that's an interesting one as well. I mean, if you invest $6,000 into the one on Solana, you'd get 2% of the supply. I mean, I don't really have the money to do that, and it just doesn't really, I'd rather buy the one on Ethereum. I like Ethereum better, honestly, but it's interesting. But I just wanted to share with this interesting coin.